Hey, everybody, it's Father Edward. I'm a Catholic priest and I love film and I have a confession to make. It's not one that I need absolution for, but I want to tell you something about the movie The Life of Chuck. I want to give you an honest review of The Life of Chuck. The first thing, I had the opportunity to pre screen The Life of Chuck, but I went to the movie theater tonight to watch The Life of Chuck. So what's the confession? The confession is sometimes when I pre-screen and I was invited to go to a cinema in Chicago or St. Paul in a big metro area to take it in with other people alongside me, but it just didn't work in my schedule. So I was able to get a pre-screener link. And the pre-screener links are often only good for a certain amount of time. And they really wanted to control The Life of Chuck. They didn't want it to get out there. And so they only would grant you a 6 hour window. So you had to submit a time frame that you thought you would be available to watch the movie. And so I did. And I thought I'd be available the night that I said that I would watch it, that I didn't have much on my schedule. But as it turned out, things popped up and I was not able to watch it at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock like I thought I would. So I get home from running around and doing the things that I was doing, and it's like 9 o'clock, 9:30. I'm like, boy, this link expires at like midnight, so I gotta watch this. I tried setting it up to my TV, and typically I can just HDMI to my TV, watch it on my big screen. And unfortunately, like it wasn't working. Now, I think it was just a bad HDMI port in my TV. I don't think there was any other complication. But, anyways, I started watching it then on my laptop. I'm like, I have 3 hours. It's 2 hours. I got to watch this. So I start watching it. And I watched. Now, the movie is in three acts. And it starts with Act Three. The end is the beginning. And so I start watching Act Three. I think I dozed off a little bit. Long day. Act Two starts. I remember seeing some of Act Two, but then I didn't remember any of the rest of the movie. I knew that I didn't see the end of the movie, and so I wrote a review, and I wrote a review based on Act Three, or the first part of the movie, because I had a few issues or whatever with it. So then I thought to myself, as it was coming out in a wider release in theaters throughout the country, I'm like, I really want to know how this ends. And I attended a webinar, a press conference, a press junket, listened to some of the lead people in the film, and I'm like, I missed something. I didn't see the end. I don't know the ending, so I gotta go see it. So I went to the local Marcus Theater. I used one of my free passes that I have, and I saw The Life of Chuck, even though I saw maybe a half of the movie previously through that pre-screener link. And the first part, I'm like, yep, I remembered most of it, if not all of it. But then got to the second part, and I'm like, oh, this makes a little more sense now. And maybe I was a little more awake, obviously, and so I was able to process it more. And boy, Act One, or the third part of the movie, it blew my socks off. It blew my mind. In my little notes, I wrote "mind blowing." I'll tell you, The Life of Chuck is one of the greatest movies I have ever seen. And you might think I'm exaggerating, but I'm not. Like, I see a lot of movies, I watch a lot of film, and that was one of the most incredible, thought provoking, intellectually stimulating movies I have seen in a very long time. It's a movie that, if I found somebody that wanted to go tomorrow night, I would go back and I would watch it again. And even just by rewatching Act Three, or the first part of the movie, I took away more this second time than I did the first time. And I can't even imagine what that would be for the third part, or the Act One of the movie. It's just incredible, mind boggling. When the movie was done, and there were only five, six people in the theaters. Actually, there were four people and myself, so it must have been five. There were only three that were there at the very end. Two people walked out after the act three, the first part of the movie, and the people behind me reported to me. They said, yeah, they walked out, and the guy said to the lady, why do you pick such stupid movies? They didn't get it. They didn't see the artistic beauty. They couldn't understand the intellectual stimulation that was happening from this movie. That's why they walked away. When the credits started rolling and it ended with an Irish song, The Parting Glass, I'm like, oh, this is music to my ears. And I sat there and I'm like, I have to talk to somebody about this. I need to like process this with someone. The two people in the back, I went up. I said, "What you think of the movie?" And they started talking and the one lady said, "Yeah, she just had a take on this that I now she's got me thinking." And boy, they shared that take with me and it wasn't something I had considered, but now I'm like, "Wow, I think you got something there." This is a movie that is going to live rent free in my head for, I don't know, the rest of my life. I'm going to go back and watch it. I know there's not many movies you go back and watch over and over and over. For me, it's Bells of St. Mary's, Song of Bernadette, August Rush. I've seen The Hill many times now. There's not many movies I would say I need to see this again. I need to see the life of Chuck again. So let me just give you a little background here. Life of Chuck. It's based on a Stephen King short story. So imagine that, a short story that they make into a 1 hour and 50 minute film. Now, I've seen things circulate online, and one of the reviews that actually came in from a Catholic website, Family Theater, said that this was one of the most faithful adaptations of a book to movie they've ever seen. I thought, wow, that's high praise. Makes me want to go read the Stephen King short story that inspired the life of Chuck. Like I said, three acts, the end is the beginning. So you kind of go in chronological reverse order. So you get the most closest events in the beginning, then you get the second most closest, and then you get the origin story. It all centers around a guy named Charles Krantz, who, in the first part of the movie, Act 3, you get to meet, not literally, but through billboards that say, thanks, Chuck Krantz, thanks, Charles Krantz, for 39 great years. So you think he's retiring after 39 years. I'm not going to tell you much about Chuck's story, Charles Krantz's story. You got to watch the movie to get Charles Krantz's story. But you think you know who Chuck Krantz is until part two and part one. Just incredible. So you meet Chuck Krantz and you get to know his story. The first part, he's just kind of there living in people's heads, rent free, if you will, just like he's living rent free in my head right now. And then you get his story. Now, the second part, kind of a little like bizarre, if you will, interlude, kind of hinge. Stay with it because it was profound. And when I attended some of these press junkets, they talked about this act, and I'm like, boy, I didn't really appreciate it. I fell asleep. So me falling asleep that first time I watched it was only because I get up early. I burn the candle on both ends, and that's why I fell asleep. I didn't fall asleep because the movie was terrible. I fell asleep because I was tired, and I was watching it on my laptop instead of on a TV and whatever. But yeah, just you see his story, and in the second act, like I said, a weird interlude maybe, but it's very deep if you go underneath it all, and it asked a very important question. And I'll give you the question. I'm not going to tell you what happens in the second interlude. You're just going to have to watch the movie sometime. But but the question was, what made you stop in front of me, and why did you start to do XYZ? What made you stop in front of me? It really is hearing that question being asked of Chuck Krantz by this character in the movie makes you realize the motivation of every choice and every decision that you do in your life. Why do you do what you do? And that's really what I think Act One shows us why Chuck Krantz did what he did. It's an amazing, incredible movie. I went to the movie tonight. I'm like, I'm so stupid that I fell asleep and I'm gonna go watch this movie and I'm gonna regret it. A movie I saw last week. I thought I'd do a video on it, and maybe I still will, but I went and I saw the Phoenician Scheme. It had a nun in it, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll comment on the nun. I think I still will, but that was one of the stupidest movies that I ever watched, the Phoenician Scheme. But I'm like, I don't understand it. But probably like those two people that walked out of the life of Chuck, like that was me at the Phoenician Scheme. Like I wanted to walk out of the Phoenician Scheme. And so like that was one of the, like I said, one of the stupidest movies I've ever seen. Regretted that decision, but boy, I don't regret seeing the life of Chuck and going back. I would go back again. I actually wanted to stay and attend the next screening tonight, but I refrained. I'm like, I gotta go home. I gotta pray. I gotta do other things. So, um, yeah, look for the life of Chuck. If it's playing in a theater where you're at, go on $5, $6 Tuesday, take it in. Go pay the full price. Maybe you see this after, wait for it to come out on streaming, on DVD, whatever. You got to watch this movie. Again, like I just kept putting pieces together. And I'm like, this is so beautifully made. It's artistic genius and gold. I haven't sung the praises of a film like this in a long time. Now, what will I tell you? I'll tell you two moral warnings. One in Act Three, and I write about this in my review that I published with Catholic Link. I'll put a link to that review in the show notes here or in in the description. But in the first opening minutes, I think what it shows is the fall of society and humanity. And like there is this kind of few minutes spent on, so it's like the end of the world and the internet is out and television is out and, people have to be with others and boy, end of the world. But the movie is like the end of the world. It's apocalyptic. And so there is like this. I'm not going to say the word because sometimes like YouTube doesn't like that, and but there is like this moment where they discuss like an adult topic that is I think shows kind of the fallen nature of humanity. So that it references an adult website. Let's just say that. So I don't like the promotion of that. I don't like yeah, I don't like that at all. So, I write about that. So that's first. Second thing, I think I counted maybe there were, I don't know, a dozen F bombs in the movie. And it actually seemed concentrated more in Act Two, in the very beginning of Act Two. But just be mindful of that language. Those are my two moral warnings about it. But boy, I'm gonna watch this movie again. And I hope you'll have the chance to watch the movie. And I hope you'll leave your comments. It's just so profound. So many of the questions it poses. Um, that's all I'm gonna say. I hope you go to the theaters. I hope you go see The Life of Chuck. I know that How to Train Your Dragon is out this weekend, and boy, there are a lot of people going to the theater that were excited about How to Train Your Dragon. I think Elio is out this weekend. There are a lot of movies out this weekend. So Life of Chuck will not run with them. But if you're looking for a movie that you're going to think and keep thinking, Life of Chuck. I hope you go see it. God bless you.